Control. That's the name of the game, isn't it? But here's the thing. It's not about charging headfirst into battle. No. That's for the desperate, the foolish, the weak. Real power is about making them come to you. Let them wear themselves down while you sit back, watching with that little smirk on your face, knowing you've already won. That's the real trick. Never chase, always lure. Now, let's talk about the bait, because every good trap needs bait, right? People, they're so predictable. You dangle what they want just out of reach, and they'll scramble for it like rats in a maze. Money, love, fame, approval, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it shines just enough to catch their eye. See, people are greedy. You give them a little taste, a tiny morsel, and they'll come running, begging for more. They won't even see the strings you're pulling. Ever notice how in everyday life, it's always the one chasing who ends up losing? Let's take dating, for example. You see these poor saps bending over backward, sending flowers, writing love notes, showing up at doorsteps. Pathetic. The more they chase, the more they're pushed away. But the one who sits back, the one who acts like they couldn't care less, they're the ones who get all the attention. The minute you act like you don't need someone, that's when they need you. And that's the beauty of it. Need. People want what they can't have. You make yourself scarce, a little mysterious, and suddenly you're the most important thing in their world. You become the prize. They'll come crawling to you thinking it's their idea, when really you set the whole thing in motion. It's all about making them think they're in control, when in reality, you've got them wrapped around your finger. Let me tell you a story. Picture this. A corporate office, a sea of cubicles, and in the middle of it all, there's this guy. Let's call him Dave. Dave's got ambition, but he's not the brightest crayon in the box. What does he do? He spends all his time chasing promotions, cozying up to the boss, working late hours, running around like a headless chicken. And you know what? He's invisible. Just another cog in the machine. Now, there's another guy. Let's call him John. John doesn't chase anything. He doesn't beg for recognition or grovel for attention. No, John plays it cool. He knows the game. He drops hints here and there, does just enough to get noticed, and then he disappears. Suddenly, the higher-ups start wondering, what's John up to? Why haven't we heard from him? And before you know it, they're calling him into the office, offering him the promotion. See, John didn't chase a thing. He just let them come to him. That's how it works. People are naturally suspicious of anyone too eager, too desperate. But if you pull back, create distance, they get curious. They start wondering, why aren't you chasing? What do you know that they don't? And in that moment, they come to you, on your terms. Even in the criminal world, it's the same game. You think the big bosses are running around getting their hands dirty? No, they let the lowlifes come to them. They sit in the shadows, pulling strings, while the pawns do all the work. And then, when it's time to collect, who do you think holds all the cards? Not the guy out there on the street corner. No, it's the one sitting in the penthouse, feet kicked up, waiting for the money to roll in. That's power. It's not about doing the work. It's about making sure someone else does. But let's not get too fancy here. This applies to everyday life, too. Think about your social circles, your little cliques. There's always that one person, right? The one everyone revolves around. Do you think they're out there begging for attention? No. They've created an aura, an allure, and everyone comes to them. It's like moths to a flame. And the best part? The flame doesn't have to move. It just sits there, glowing, while the idiots circle around, burning themselves out. So, how do you do it? How do you get others to come to you? Simple. You create demand. You become scarce. You make them feel like you're just out of reach. Make them think they need you more than you need them. And once they come to you, once they're within reach, well, then you've got them. You've got the upper hand. But let's be honest, people don't like to think they're being manipulated, do they? They like to believe they're the ones in control, that they're making the decisions. So let them believe that. Give them the illusion of choice when all along you're the one holding the reins. That's the real power. You don't force people to come to you. No, no, no. You make them want to. You make them need to. Because in the end, people are nothing more than puppets. All it takes is a little bait, a little lure, and they'll dance for you without even realizing it. And when they come, when they're standing there thinking they've made it on their own terms, that's when you strike. That's when you reel them in, because by then, it's too late. They're already in your web. They're already yours. So the next time you're tempted to chase after something, remember this. Real power never chases. Real power waits for the moment when everything comes to you. And when it does, well, that's when the fun really begins.